The bulk of what we consume in Hawaii come from elsewhere. They're brought to us on barges and ships filled with shipping containers. In these containers are boxes and crates that are attached to pallets. They're attached onto pallets either by these kind of like industrial saran wrap like plastic, or they're attached by baling straps. Now, I really haven't thought about baling straps ever before until 2012 when I was on sabbatical in Vancouver in British Columbia. I went to an organic produce distribution company to get some overripe tomatoes to make sauce. When I got there, I saw this huge bin of these straps and I became very curious. Now, I know that it's possible to make baskets with these straps. I've seen them before when I travel, and I've seen them before made by a man in Honolulu, Chinatown. So I talked to the owner of the distribution company and asked if I could have some straps. She was thrilled because she couldn't find a recycler. She said, "Oh, please take them all." Of course, I couldn't take them all, but I took some. I started watching YouTube videos on basket making. I probably watched about 10 to 20 of them, and I cobbled something together, and 2 weeks later, I made my first basket. With sore and cut up hands, I brought the basket back to the distributor and I made her a proposal. I said, "How about if I bring you one of these baskets once a week and then I exchange them for your produce that are either overripe or too ugly to sell?" She said yes. It's a no cost thing for her, and she could get a basket out of really not losing any money. So I started a year-long project where once a week I would make her a basket and get beautiful organic produce. I think I never really ate such beautiful vegetables and fruits in my life. When I was making these baskets, I began asking questions that I hadn't really before. Artists are workers that make products that are considered very high end or rarefied. But then basket makers, in fact, like basket making is one of the most looked down upon skills. Like, people make jokes about it. What are you, an underwater basket maker? Like as if it doesn't require skills. Something I've learned that's quite the contrary. So I started thinking about different positions I occupy as a human being. And I started thinking about all the things that's around us that's made by human beings, which is everything. Even if it's mechanized, there are human beings somewhere along the way. China, one of the most exploited labor forces in the world, they make, our iPhones, our chairs, just about everything that you look around, whichever room that you're in at the moment. These people get paid very little to make goods that we in the global north have become very accustomed to paying so little for. We go to these box stores and we buy things in bulk. And then we throw away a lot of it because we hoard. A lot of these waste, so-called waste, get shipped back to the global south for gleaners to sort through to find what may be still usable or for recycling. As art laborers, there's two types. People still think that art is made by one person, but there are these famous artists who sell their work for millions of dollars, who hire other artists basically for their factory workers. So these issues became extremely interesting to me, and I decided to do a performance to ask these very questions. I was still in Vancouver at the time, and I was invited to do a show at a storefront gallery that was very near Vancouver's old Chinatown. And I decided to call it Sweat for the obvious reason. For about 3 weeks before the the project, I went to every store in the Chinatown and I asked these workers if I could have straps or if they could save straps for me. And I ended collecting a fair amount. So in the storefront gallery, I created a fabric mesh that was semi-transparent, and I basically threw all the straps that I collected into the window. I didn't do a lot of pre-performance announcements, so when I showed up, I put an A sign with a cozy on top that just said basket making demonstration. And I would be in the window for about 6 to 8 hours a day over the duration for a couple of weeks. Now the room that I occupy, you couldn't really see me. You saw me kind of ghost-like figure. You could only see that there are sleeves sewn into the semi-transparent fabric, and you can only see my hands weaving baskets. And I wanted to make a comment about invisible labor, people that produce everything around us, and we simply don't see them. So I wanted to make them visible. I wanted to call to their skills and their labor and the time and their exploitation. Many people of the neighborhood just come by and watch me make baskets. Now, it was also a demonstration, meaning that I wanted to show people how to make a basket besides just showing them how long it takes to make a basket. So besides doing a live demonstration, I also made instructions that were available on the web. I made them in English and I made them in Chinese. After the 2 weeks performance, I took the baskets that I made and I brought them back to the workers who saved the straps for me. At about this time, I returned to Honolulu because my sabbatical ended. And I didn't think my project with these straps were over, so I started collecting straps from Hawaii vendors. So it's been about 7 years, and I think to date I've made about 650 baskets or so. I keep doing it because I know if I don't, all of these plastics would be thrown into the trash. And the more baskets I make, I start to experiment with the colors I find. As an artist, I've never really explored color. My work was primarily monochromatic. So I got kind of excited about learning how to use colors with whatever color straps that I find. Of course, unlike a painter that you can go to a paint store and get whatever color you wanted, I like the challenge of having to only use the palette that I encounter accidentally. So the straps are really different. They're not only different in colors, but they're different in width, in sheen, in weight. And so easily there are about 15 different blacks, 30 different whites or more, about the same for yellows. And in a way, each basket, I kind of look at them as like tiny little abstract paintings. No matter how many baskets I make, I simply cannot keep up with the amount of straps that I collect. So I have a scheme of luring other people into my mania. I do demonstrations, I do workshops. I've gotten quite a few people to try, and a handful to be quite obsessive as well. The biggest collaboration that I've done to date is to work with about 12 different people. And we made 2 sheets of 6 feet by 10 feet flats and then wove them into the frame of a typical Hawaii tent frame that often you find in people's garages. So to return to the basket makers that are around the world, I think about them because I have too many baskets. I can't possibly barter or keep all these baskets that I make. So I think about, like, how do I sell them? How much do these people make? Through research, Alibaba sells them. If you buy 100 or more, you can get these baskets for 70 cents to $3.60. Or a set of 3 baskets for $3.67 to $5.78. So one can imagine these people get like $1 an hour or so because they don't even get the whole portion of this sales amount. On the other end of the spectrum, high-end luxury stores would sell these same baskets basically for an enormous amount of money. This one by Marnie is $200, and at Nordstrom is $230. So this is really one of the biggest questions that I'm asking right now. How do I make labor, the human beings behind everything that surround us, who produce all the things that we need to live or want to live, visible through my artwork? So I invite you to take a look at my Instagram feed at forge_in_entirety. Thank you.